Valentine boy, Vincent Valentine boy, EX Turk boy, horror transformation boy, fuck Shimmer boy, pro Lucretia boy. Let's get started on the Sturgeon Cerberus. Going down on Purge. Better watch yourself, Hojo. Anyone mess with Lucretia, you're gonna end up at the end of my Cerberus. I play no games. Got your goofy ass on on my Hellmaster chainsaw. Don't even.
Hey, it's Noctis. Subscribe to Vincent Valentine EX Turk channel.
What's up, guys? Vincent Valentine EX Turk with another Final Fantasy discussion. I'm drinking a large chocolate shake. Let's get to it. Now, with episode Prompto dropping around, this is a good subject this is a good subject to bring up. The subject is how strong is Verstael Bethsidia. Okay, I tried the best I could. Please don't get angry and write crazy comments on this, because again, hard last name to pronounce. But anyways, let's get to the material. Now, in human form, Prompto was able to shoot him in the head. And just end him right away. So in his human form, we can tell he's not really that powerful in his human form. But neither is a character that's just like him in any other Final Fantasy. You know, Hojo. When Hojo's in human form, even when Genova cells, inside of him, he wasn't that strong in his human form. He was just basic and average human as you could get. Even though Verstael has the Scourge within him, as you can see in this clip right here, he wasn't all that strong because he's still in his human body. Because, well, he's a scientist. He's not a warrior. He's not like Ravis, or even the great Emperor Idolus, or Arden. So in his human form, he's gonna, of course, be weaker. It makes a lot of sense. He's gonna be a lot weaker in his human form, but it's not about how physically strong someone is. Especially Final Fantasy is a series that has people with various abilities to do whatever they want with their abilities. Verstael could transfer his consciousness to any of his MT. He could become Ravis's arm. He could become Prompto himself if he wanted to. So it's what this guy could do and not what he can't do. Just like when he transferred his consciousness to Barbaros, the monkey thing that can use Ifrit's powers when you defeat it and when you get close to defeating it. Yep, pretty much, Pretty much he could transfer his consciousness to any of his MTs. He could become one of his MTs, even if his physical body dies. He can use a neural network linking thing that Hojo was able to use in Dirge's Cerberus. Except the difference is, in Dirge's Cerberus, Hojo was trying to control a body that clearly was not his. But Verstael could perfectly control any of his MT because he created all the MTs for the Niflheim Empire. Now, what confuses me is how does Verstael able to use Ifrit's type of powers and abilities in the form of Barbaros, unless he's a contract with Ifrit as well as Arden has. Meaning that Emperor Idolus probably has to know about Ifrit's existence, which puts out my other fan theories out of the window, the ones previous to this one. Or maybe the only people that are in the Scourge originally was Verstael and Arden. They work closely together. But it does confuse me how Barbaros is able to use Ifrit's powers with no explanation, unless he's met Ifrit and Ifrit's gave, and maybe he was able to take a sample of Ifrit's power. I don't know. I know this is before chapter 14 where you fight Ifrit, so but they could have, it could be possible that they have met before all this. Remember, the Niflheim Empire has been around for a long time. Not to mention Arden. I'm pretty sure Arden has met Verstael when Verstael was super young. Probably even as a child, because how old Arden is. So he could probably do it. And, and maybe Arden could have met Idolus the same time. Verstael and Idolus are roughly around the same age. Not exactly in numbers, but it looks, you can concur that they've been around for a long time. So maybe all three of them got the contract with Ifrit. And maybe Verstael asked Ifrit for some power for his new Magitech, and the only way he got it was to kill some of the other Astrals, which a couple Astrals probably died by Verstael's hands. Ifrit was probably pleased with the progress and was able to put in his new Magitech and replicate the powers and Barbaros to represent Ifrit, just in case he had to use it. Because remember, even Verstael has said it before in the Final Fantasy 15, the original game, to Idolus, the Six wields power that's untapped and unknown, power beyond any measure, meaning that Verstael knows the power of Noctis, and him being the scientist, the chief scientist, and the strategist for Niflheim. It's not too impossible to concur that he was preparing for Noctis or somebody to come and stop him. I don't know if it was his son, but he could concur that someone was going to come and stop him, That Noctis would come after the very first Magitech, base ever. Or factory ever. The first Magitech factory, the one he's in. Close to Gralia. I think Verstael probably took that in consideration. That's when he constructed Barbrotus with Ifrit's power. So Barbrotus would have to be stronger than, and judging by levels, judging by in-game levels, Barbrotus is level 55. Idolus's Feralis form, Idolus's Feralis form is about level 48. And we all know level 55 is, stronger. So Barbaros is actually stronger than Idolus's demon form Ferois. Even though Ferois has partial immortality due to the Star Scourge. When it comes to physical attributes, Barbaros would be stronger. That's why it's kind of surprising they had Prompto and Aranea fight. But then again, if you have Aranea on your team, then I guess you can't lose because how strong Aranea is. But let's put it this way. Barbaros is about 5 times stronger than Ferois. 5 times stronger than Ferois. Idolus' demon form. So that would leave the final transformation we would have to talk about to understand Verstael's true power gauge. And this would be in the form of Immortalis, the final and strongest Magitech invention, creation he's ever made. This large snake has a power to kill a god. That's why I put this power gauge at the same power gauge as Safer Sephiroth. Pretty much, if there's any Final Fantasy 15 character that could go toe to toe with Safer Sephiroth form, I would have to say Immortalis, or should I say Verstael Immortalis. Even Verstael has said it himself that this power could kill any god. Now Arden can still beat it, being connected directly to the Star Scourge, but I think this is one of the only characters, besides Noctis and any characters with special abilities, that can actually fight Safer Sephiroth and actually stand a good chance against him. That's why I said I grade Immortalis at the power gauge of Safer Sephiroth. You know, because even Verstael has stated before, this has the power to kill a god. And I know I'm repeating myself, but it's like, I just had to bring that point out. You know. So Versteel's a very powerful villain. It wouldn't matter if you were having to knock this and it was an action-based, you know, RPG game. Versteel would be a hard boss based on the fact that he's actually surpassed and is actually stronger than his Emperor, Idolus. Which is very weird and strange. But then again, not to say it couldn't happen. Versteel has stayed in that facility for a long time. The only time he's ever reported to, you know, the capital Gralia is when that meeting with Ravis, Aranea, Loki, and Caligo, you know. So, you know, besides that, well, Loki wasn't there, never mind, Loki. But besides that, he only goes to Gralia to be in meetings with him. He sends his Magitech stuff to Idolus. Then Idolus sends it to every other base that Idolus has taken over. Any areas Idolus has taken over, he sends Magitech to them, and he gives Ravis some Magitech, and that's how it is. So you know, it's not impossible. It's not impossible to think that Versteel would try to make himself stronger than even his Emperor. Not the fact that not that the Emperor would do anything to Versteel, because, well, Versteel is very valued by Idolus. Remember, Idolus is the one who took advice from Versteel about Luna Freya. And you know how big of an ego Idolus has. You know, for him to listen to someone else besides Arden, you know he has to value that person. So, but even then, I think even then, Versteel had to count that he had to be stronger than Idolus. Because, you know, he would have to be stronger than Idolus because based on the facts that Noctis at this point would have would have at least 4 astrals, and he'd have a lot more royal arms, and he'd be stronger. I'm pretty sure Versteel looked into what happened in Alticia and noticed that Noctis defeated Leviathan and took her and was able to have her as a summon and an astral, and took the royal arm that Luna Freya was holding. So Versteel was probably planning for a long planning. Even Aranea said this is the new model. Even Aranea knew about the new model. The new model was supposed to be if the Hydrian would have gotten captured, and you know what? That's why he had to make himself stronger than Idolus, because, you know, now he probably knows Noctis is probably stronger than Idolus, and he's like, you know what? I gotta make something that's even stronger than what my great Emperor is. So that's probably why Immortalis exists, and that's why Immortalis is what you would also call a god killer, for a reason. Since now Noctis has 4, I think it's 4, I can't remember, 4 or 3 of the astrals. It's one of the other astrals. I can't, you know, 1 or 2, I can't remember, 3 or 4. I gotta go back and play it again. It's been a while since I played the actual regular story mode for the stuff, but nonetheless, Immortalis is the power gauge of Safer Sephiroth. When Versteel calls it a god killer, this is not an understatement. It is what it is. The strongest Niflheim weapon ever. So, may the crystal be with you, and this is my power gauge video of Versteel Bethsidia. I can't pronounce it, please forgive me. You know, so we all got troubled words, but may the crystal be with you. Guys, have a nice day. Go play episode Prompto now. It's worth it.